to have a great country, you can't have crime. And we don't have crime, but we have cities where there's tremendous crime. And Chicago's one of them. And if the governor can't straighten it out, we'll straighten it out. Thank you.
Texas seems to be heeding President Trump's call of cracking down on crime, especially in the city of Chicago, which is a long way from the Lone Star State. Governor Greg Abbott posting a photo yesterday of Texas National Guard troops boarding a plane, writing, quote, "The elite Texas National Guard ever ready, deploying now." Mayor Johnson sending Abbott this message moments ago.
The governor of Texas should be worrying about Texas. Why he all up in my business? Focus on Texas.
Camera on him right
Let's
now.
bring Governor Greg Abbott into this. We wish you could have seen your face. Why are you all up in his business, Governor?
So listen, both the mayor and the governor of Illinois need to own up to the fact that they are not doing their jobs to maintain the safety and security of federal officials who are required to enforce federal law in their city and in their state. Because they're refusing to do that, Texas is using just a small part of our National Guard. Know this, we still have thousands of National Guard on the border, as you and I are talking right now. But what we sent to Illinois are Guard who are there already in Illinois, who are part of the elite team of a tactical force that I have utilized in the state of Texas to provide backup support for the Texas Department of Public Safety. They have specialized training to deal with civil disturbances, and they put that training to use for years under the Biden administration when they had to confront civil unrest along the border, especially those who were coming across the border. They're very experienced in being able to back up the ICE agents and other federal agents to make sure that they will be able to execute the laws safely and effectively.
Okay, so Governor Pritzker had more words for you, calling you a tool of Donald Trump when he said this on Rachel Maddow's show. Listen.
Just last year, Joe Biden tried to call up National Guard, federalize them, to take Air National Guard and move them into the Space Force. And all 50 governors signed onto a letter, including, I might add, Greg Abbott from Texas, saying that it was improper for the President of the United States to call on governors to either send their National Guard or to federalize the National Guard so that the President could use them however he wanted to. Now, this year, of course, Greg Abbott is a tool of Donald Trump. He's his lackey, and he is, in fact, doing exactly what Donald Trump wants and going against exactly what Greg Abbott said he would do last year.
So he's clearly trying to make the case that you were apparently against it then, but you're for it now. How do you respond to the governor?
So he's clueless, as typical. So last year when Joe Biden was president, Texas was fighting for our lives on the border. And I needed to ensure that every National Guard member we had available was doing the job that the federal government should have been doing, that Joe Biden should have been doing, and that is to enforce the immigration laws of the United States. Instead of trying to help out Joe Biden, I was using our National Guard to enforce immigration laws. Our National Guard were actually repelling people who are trying to enter the country illegally and secure the border by building these border barriers that no state in the history of America has ever done before. So I'm proud that we had the most elite National Guard in the country securing our border, unlike any state in the history of the United States.
And we should also point out, too, that illegal border crossings of the southern border are down to their lowest level since 1970, so I imagine that frees up a lot of your National Guard. I want to ask you about a couple of things going on in Chicago, since you've got troops up there now. We had that incident on Saturday where ICE put in a request for CPD to respond because they were being overwhelmed, or at least put in a lot of difficulty by protesters that were ramming vehicles, boxing them in. There's some discrepancy there as to whether or not Chicago police responded and when they did. But then there's this alleged murder for hire plot against the Border Patrol commander up there, Gregory Bovino. Juan Espinoza Martinez is under arrest. He's a ranking member of the Latin Kings. Martinez allegedly sent messages to a law enforcement source saying of Bovino, $2K on information when you get him, $10K if you take him down. That really serves to highlight, I think, the threat that CBP and ICE are facing there in the city of Chicago, which is the reason why you're deploying your guard up there.
So, John, you're spot on. First, I'll say this, and that is, if anybody is shot, if anybody is attacked, I tell you what, Governor Pritzker and the local mayor there in Chicago, they are accomplices to those crimes by stirring up this hate against ICE agents, against the federal government employees, against the National Guard. And so, because of the videos that you guys have shown, because if you go back just a couple of weeks ago, because of the shooting at an ICE facility in Dallas, Texas, it is clear evidence that exists that when ICE tries to perform the functions they are required by law to enforce, and that's to enforce the immigration laws, they are doing so when they are in danger. And that's exactly why they need backup of the National Guard. Because Pritzker and others have refused to step up and provide that security, I'm honored and proud that we have the most elite National Guard in the country that are performing that duty in Illinois and hopefully in some other states.
Governor, we have to leave it there. I'll just finish off with this question. Why do you believe that the governor of Illinois, the mayor of the city of Chicago, that clearly have problems that have been going on for years, that seem to be getting worse, are in such denial of it? Or is this just all politics?
So it's politics. They're caving to the progressive left. You've seen Gavin Newsom, you've seen Hochul in New York, you now see the governor of Illinois. They're going along the leftist line because they're hoping to be first in line when it comes to the Democrat nomination for the presidency. But it doesn't matter which one of them may be the winner of that nomination because they are utter failures for our country, and they will be revealed as such.
Yeah, we should also point out, Governor, that the Border Patrol Commander, Greg Bavino, is going to be joining us in our next hour. So we'll get a chance to discuss all of this with him as well. Thank you for taking time, Governor.
Thanks,
really
Governor.
appreciate it.
My pleasure.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.